This is Story Time with Corey Dreamer. Okay, so I was on my walk, on my usual walk, and I just go do my walk, and I go all the way up down Mayfield Road, or past Mayfield Road, and then I just go to the plaza, walking around and all the stuff, and then I go back home, or I go to Smoothie King, and I go buy a smoothie, and I'm sitting in there for a minute, 30 minutes, just passing the by, working my stuff for my YouTube channel, because I'm doing I did my harmonica video, and so I'm just, I'm finishing up, I'm drinking my smoothie, and then I go outside, and I go for a walk, and as I'm passing this road, as I'm walking down, I see this old Italian man. He's speaking Italian. He's like, please, please help me. Please, I need help. Everyone who's passing by me has been not helping me, and or either give me directions. I need help. Please, please, give me help, please. And I'm just sitting there, and I'm listening to the guy, or I'm standing there and listening to the guy, and I just think, okay, you know what, I'm going to help this guy. My mom helped this guy. My mom helped people like this who are challenged. He looked medically challenged. And he told me his story about how he was Italian. He came here when he was in his 60s. He's been here for 30 years. So he told me his whole backstory. And, I'm like, okay, you know what, I'm going to help you. And he's had a hard time hearing. So I'm telling you, when it's talking to this guy, it's like like this. It's like you're talking like this. So I help this guy. I go on Google and I see, okay, where does he want to go? And I'm like, okay, I'm like, ask the guy, okay, where do you want to go? And he's like, I'm asking this like 30 questions a minute. So I asked and he finally tells, and I finally get to saying, and he's like, Mayfield Road, I want to go to Garfield Road, I'm trying to go to this restaurant, I really like this restaurant, and so I go on Google, and I just, or I go on Google Maps using my phone, and I just look on Google where he wants to live, and he says, at first he says Harrison Road, and then he says Mayfield Road. And it's like, oh gosh, which way does he want to go? So I'm like, okay, let's just figure it out. And I'm trying to Google, and he's telling me his story. Please, please, please. The guy lends me, and I keep telling him, I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to help you. The guy lends me $5 from, you being such a kind person. Please take this $5 and buy anything you want. And I did try to sneak it back to him, but he said, no, you keep it. So I got the $5. I know I sound like an awful person, but when an elderly person lends you money, I'm telling you, it's hard to give it back. Boy, and I know I sound like an awful person, but you know what? I couldn't give it back to him. And I'm thinking, there's no way I cannot sneak it back in his wallet, in his pockets, or in anything, or else he's gonna think I'm some weirdo. So, oh boy. So I just, I go on Google and I'm looking around, seeing, okay, well, is there a bus? And I'm standing there, and I call my friend, a nurse who I used to live at her group home, named Keisha. Ooh, excuse me. And so I call her up. She doesn't answer. And the reason why I'm calling her is because she has a couple of houses that live on Mayfield Road, and I actually used to live on those roads. So so I'm with this guy, elderly guy, who's keep holding my hand. And I tell him, I'm looking on search, trying to find where you want to go. I'm looking on Google. And he's like, you know what? I'm trying to find. I never really get those things, man. I never really get those things. They're too hard. They're pressing the buttons. I don't really get it. There's no buttons. Oh, I'm telling you, finding this guy bus was like, finding a Navy on the corn snake. I think I said that right. Anyway, so I'm helping this guy. I'm still with him. He's still holding my hand. And finally, and we've been standing there for a good 30 minutes, I think. Finally, a medical bus, I think it was an RTA bus, comes strolling down, and then it goes past us. And then I'm like, oh no, please tell me that wasn't his bus. Oh dear. And, I'm just sitting there, and he keeps repeating his story, his life story, and I'm like, yeah, sir, I get it, and, I'm trying to help you here, and, and I call my friend, a nurse who, I used to live at her group home, named Keisha. Ooh, excuse me. And so I call her up. She doesn't answer. And the reason why I'm calling her is because she has a couple of houses that live on Mayfield Road, and I actually used to live on those roads. And he's like, you know what? Just drop me off at a medical bus. Just drop me off at an RTA bus. Just drop me off at a bus stop. I'll be fine. And he's like, oh, and I was like, oh, okay, you want me? Okay, so I'll drop you off at a bus. You know what? And he's like, okay, yeah, that's fine. That's fine. You could just leave me there, or I think that's what he said. And I'm telling you, listening to this guy was hard. I'm laughing at the situation. I'm just, it was cute. Anyway, so finally there's I see this RTA bus, and I see this RTA bus stop, and I'm like, okay, thank God. Thank goodness. So thankfully I dropped the guy off. I take the guy across the road safely. I push the signal buses, or the traffic signal buses that you press to go across the road, and thankfully I just took him there, and I said, what's this? And I saw, and I don't think he can see clearly. So yes, I'm with a guy who could barely see and can barely hear. And I'm like, this is a bus, sir. This is a bus. Charlie, this is a bus. So, oh, okay, thank you. Oh, thank you. You're so kind. And thank you for helping me. Thank you, please, thank you. And he talks to the bus guy, the bus driver, and he says, yep, yeah, I can take you there. I can take you. And he's like, and as Charlie walks in to the bus, I look at the bus driver and I'm like, please help him. Please, I can't. I don't. Please help him. He's like, and the bus driver's like, yeah, don't worry, I got it. So thankfully, I help this guy. Oh gosh, it was so crazy. I felt so sorry for him. I couldn't leave him. My mom helps medically challenged people, and that's what helped inspire me to do it. Keep with it. So yeah, I just kept going, kept helping, whatever. So that's what you gotta do. Whenever there's someone who is medically challenged, whether they're old or decrepit, or whether deformed or challenged, you should never leave them. You know, unless they're asking for money. If they're asking for money, I would leave. But for someone who is helping people, please help them if they're a challenge.